So last week we continued our data and statistics unit discussing the spread of our data, which basically refers to how far apart our data is. All right. We specifically looked at something called the interquartile range. Now the real range is the high minus the low. But as you can see, a number like this 30 compared to all of the other data, in this case scores on a test, all of the other data, 30 is very low. It's called an outlier. And an outlier throws our range way off. The range here was 70 points. So that you don't have to deal with any outliers, which is going to cause your range to be very big, what you want to look at is the interquartile range, or the middle half of your data, to see the spread. So if you remember, what we did was we found the median, and our median was 84. And then we looked at the upper half, or these four numbers, and we found the median of the upper half, which was 90. And we looked at the bottom four numbers, and we found the median of the bottom half, which was 81. And so the interquartile range was the difference between 90 and 81. All right. Now, all of these numbers have words that are associated with them. All right. This bottom number right here is called our lower quartile. Okay. This middle number right here, we know, is called the median. And then this upper quartile right here is called, this 90 right here is called the upper quartile. All right, so that's new vocabulary for you. So the median of the top half is called the upper quartile, and the median of the bottom half is called the lower quartile. Sometimes you might be referred to it as the first quartile, and then the median is the second quartile, and then this upper median is called the third quartile, okay? And the reason why we're using quartiles is, you think of the word quarter, right? It's broken up into four equal parts. There's two numbers here, two numbers here, two numbers here, and then two numbers up here, okay? The other two pieces of vocabulary that I'll want you to know is the bottom number right here. We can call that our lower extreme. Okay, and our top number right up here, we'll call that our upper extreme. All right, and so there is a plot, just like there's a dot plot and there's histograms and there are frequency tables. There is a display that will show the spread of your data very well, and it's called a box and whisker plot. And basically, a box and whisker plot is going to have five numbers. It's going to show you your lower extreme, which is the smallest number. It's going to show you your upper extreme, which is the largest number. And then the other three numbers are your medians. It'll show you the lower quartile, which is the median of the lower half of your data. It'll show you the median of the full amount of data. And then it'll show you the upper quartile, which is the median of the upper half. And it's going to look kind of like this. Let me show you. All right. We're going to have five numbers. A box and whisker plot is going to have a box. All right. It'll have our median, and it'll also have a whisker on the bottom. Now this is going to be a really long whisker because our low number is 30. It's a very low number. And then this number right here is going to be 81. That's going to be our first quartile, our lower quartile. Now our median is 84. I'm going to put an 84 right here. And then a 90 is going to go over here. Now you might want to ask yourself, well, why is the 84 kind of over to the left a little bit? Well, because 84 is closer to 81 than it is to 90, all right? And then now my 100 is going to go right up here. So you'll see there's a box and two whiskers, all right? Technically, this line should be even longer. So it should kind of go all the way down over here. My 30 should be about down here, because you'll see 30 is so far away from 81 compared to the 90 to the 100. So just by looking at a box and whisker plot, if you see one part smaller than the other, it doesn't mean there's less numbers. You'll see there's still 2 numbers in the data set here, and there's 2 numbers in the data set over here. What it means is our numbers are closer together. So 81 to 84 is much closer together. 84 to 90 is further apart. Same thing here, 90 to 100 is close together, but 81 to 30 is further apart. So it doesn't mean there's less data. You'll see every piece of my plot here, up here, represents 2 numbers, okay? It just means those numbers on a number line are much further apart from each other. So let me clear my drawings, and what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at a box and whisker plot, okay? You'll see I have a picture down here of a little cat, but there's 5 numbers, 1 on the left, and then the first part of the box, the middle part of the box, the right part of the box, and then another whisker, okay? So you'll see right here, we have our lower extreme on the left, then our lower quartile, which represents the median of the bottom half of the data, and then the median, which represents the middle of all of my data, upper quartile, and upper extreme. Again, the fact that my left side of the box is closer together than my right side just means that the data is closer together on a number line than the data over here, okay? Doesn't mean there's more pieces of data, it just means that they're bunched together closer. So to fill this in, what's the median? Well, if you look up here at our box and whisker plot, the median lies right over the number 4. So our median would be 4. The lower extreme is the number that's all the way on the left. That lies above the number 2. So our lower extreme would be 2. The upper extreme is all the way to the right. That lies over the number 9. So the upper extreme is 9. The lower quartile is this left side of your box. It represents the median or the middle of the bottom half of my data. So the lower quartile is the number 3. And then my upper quartile right here is the number 6. It's the right side of my box. Now, looking at a box and whisker plot, you can answer a lot of questions. You can find the interquartile range. It would be the difference between my upper quartile, which is right here, the 6, and the lower quartile, which is 3. So the interquartile range, I'm going to call it IQR, equals the upper quartile minus the lower quartile, or basically the right side of the box minus the left side of the box. So that's 6 minus 3, or my interquartile range is 3, okay? I could also ask you for the range. Well, what's the real range? Well, the range is the high minus the low. Well, the high is my upper extreme, or 9, and the low is my lower extreme, or 2. So my range would be 9 minus 2, or 7. Okay, let's try another one. So here we have a box plot, all right? Just looking at that box plot, I know that my data is more closer together over here than it is over here on the right, because the right side of my box plot is longer than the left side. Same thing with the whisker. This data is more spread out compared to this data because on a number line, the data ranges from, it looks like somewhere around 27 all the way up to somewhere around 30, okay? So the question is, what is the lower extreme? Well, the lower extreme is the lowest or the most left side of my box plot, which is 22. So my lower extreme would be 22. The upper extreme is the most right of my box plot, which would be around 30. And what is the range? Well, that's the highest number, which is 30, minus the lowest number, which is 22, or the range would be 8. Okay, the range in this case is 8. All right, so let's go to our next one. And so here, oopsie, here we have a box plot. I could ask you, what is the median? And you would look, the median is the line inside the box, which in this case is around 80, maybe a little bit to the right of 80. All right. I could ask you for what's the upper quartile. The upper quartile is the median of the right side of my data, which is over here, which is the right side of the box. So my upper quartile would be 90. I could ask you for the lower quartile, which could be over here around 70, maybe a little less than 70. So if I asked you for the interquartile range, again, I'm going to call that the IQR, that's the upper quartile, which is the median on the right, minus the lower quartile, which is the median on the left. So the median on the right is 90, and the median on the left side of my box is 70. So the interquartile range would be 20. So looking at this box plot, I don't know any of the real data. I don't know how many pieces of data there are, but what I do know is the interquartile range is 20. I could find the actual range, which would be 100 minus 65. And just looking at my box plot, I see this whisker is smaller than this whisker, which means the data on the bottom left side, if I were to list out all the data, and again, I don't know what it is, but it would be bunched together on a number line compared to this side. If you look at my box looks pretty evenly spread out, which means my data is pretty evenly spread out, all right? I don't have the median all the way towards the left, which means it would be bunched together over here, and then it would be very spread out on the right side. The median is pretty much in the middle, so that means that my data is pretty evenly spread out here between 70 and 80 and between 80 and 90. So a box and whisker plot is very helpful to show you the spread of your data.